Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. So before I even go on into what I want to talk about today, I wanted to take the opportunity to say thank you very much for those of you who are watching the videos, having conversations, commenting, hitting the like button, or even the dislike button. I really do appreciate it. It helps the channel, and I learn a lot from what it is y'all are talking about. I promise you. All right. Today we're going to be looking at the narrative. Now, we've been talking about a lot of things from the DC Fandome event. I've been looking at the Discord server, reading comments, checking out what the community seems to be saying. And it's really hard. I'm just one person, but there is something that I've kind of not found that the community has been talking about. Now, this is because maybe we've discussed it in different videos, different forms, but it is one of the latest things that the developers have actually added to the conversation. Now, for those of you who watched the last DC Fandome event, most of you probably saw the behind the scenes reveal trailer that the developers put together. Now, I don't want to show it on this particular video because it will get copyright claims. Like my last video where I used it for an analysis, that video got copyright claimed, but who cares? We need to get to the bottom of this. But I will say it's just one part where the narrative director said that anything you think you know about the Court of Owls, make sure that it's not something that you carry into this game, because according to her, they've made some changes, they've expanded upon the story, and they've actually, had some things basically changed up. So yes, even Greg Capullo and Scott Snyder themselves, who are the creators of the Court of Owls narrative, said that they were excited to see what the studio had actually done with their story. They said one of the best things about writing a story is to see other people and take it and expand it and make it their own thing. So there is a side that the Gotham Knights game, even though it's taking the Court of Owls aspect, is making significant changes that will, in my opinion, more than anything, tell the story in a unique perspective and also fit the gameplay that they have in mind. I think that's another thing we have to pay attention to. Just because you see something in the comic doesn't mean it can necessarily go directly into gameplay. I mean, if that was the case, then games would probably be more awesome than they are today. And so this is something that I feel like we need to take a very brief look at. Now, for the most part, since we found out that the Gotham Knights game, or since there were rumors or the early of leaks, in fact, the very first one, let me go back a little bit and kind of orient you on that one, which was basically one of the developers at Warner Brothers Games Montreal took a picture of the back of her t-shirt and it had the Court of Owls symbol. I think that was one of our very first teases. A lot of us jumped into the Court of Owls novels, into the Court of Owls books, because we wanted to start gleaning and seeing exactly what it was. There also was another leak that showed a little depiction of an owl or a talon, sorry, I said an owl, of a talon basically being done by an artist who had posted something on ArtStation, and then there was all this confusion and it seemed like all that seemed to die down. But I think those were our clues. Now, what is this expansion that the narrative developer, or the narrative director, must have alluded to? This is something that I've been scratching my head about, but I guess it's probably right here in front of us. You see, the narrative of the Court of Owls from the comics, from the graphic novels, shows Batman in a situation where he encounters them directly and he's somewhere by himself. It's not till later on that the Little Bat Family coalition comes together to kind of help him out in the entire ordeal. I don't want to go ahead and go into too much, but that's what we see. Now, here in Gotham Knights, it appears that the story is starting from somewhere differently, where the Gotham Knights are the center of the picture and the center of the focus. So I think that's probably one major change that we're seeing, that this game will have the Court of Owls as the major villain group, but the Gotham Knights are going to be the centerpiece of what the protagonists will look like. So I guess that's one change that we're seeing, but there's still other changes that we might see as well, because if you think also about the villains that were in the Court of Owls depiction in the graphic novels, if they make their way here into this game, they may be shown differently, or the narrative may take them into a different aspect. In fact, one of the shocking ones was the fact that Nightwing was having a discussion with Penguin regarding this villain group. So in my opinion, there seems to be some sort of a collaboration between the Knights and whoever they feel will be able to get them to the Owls. So yes, Penguin is going to be a boss in this game of some sort, but we don't know to what level. If you look at, say, maybe other Arkham games, which is, yes, we're bringing the Arkham games up. I'm sorry, but that's what we have. For those who may say, well, let's not do Arkham comparisons, it's what we got. If you kind of look at it, you see that the bosses usually had their crews, had their side missions. had their tasks and side quests that needed to be done, I believe strongly that maybe Penguin will still be carrying out his activities within the city of Gotham, but he will eventually have to become some sort of an ally. And this is very critical because this shows us even much more how very different and how in a much different universe this is all set in. Because the Arkham games, which had seen Penguin as a very interesting enemy of Batman, in a sense, Cobblepot seemed really cute to him, the way Batman handled him. And then you see the way the Suicide Squad were basically just messing with him in the Suicide Squad trailer. It's almost very jarring to try to just separate that in your mind, but you kind of have to keep telling yourself, okay, this is not the same universe. This is not the same universe. So I think that's another change that we got to see as well, in terms of how the Gotham Knights relate to the entire story and in terms of how the developers are intending to bring all of this to light. So there is something to be said about what the narrative director has said in terms of whatever you think you know about the Owls. Make sure that, you don't just take that as your only conception. There will be changes. Nonetheless, whatever direction they've decided to go, I have one thing to say. As long as it's a good write-up, as long as it's narratively strong, as long as it makes the characters be even worth our salt, and as long as they're able to just make sure that the story is tied up properly, everybody is going to enjoy it. But we're going to keep playing this waiting game and seeing exactly what it is the developers are talking about. To be very honest, it's quite exciting to think about all of this, and I just really want to get my hands on the game and see what the narrative team has been able to do. Keep in mind as well that, as time unfolds, maybe we'll be getting a lot more clues in order for us to be able to put some pieces of this puzzle together. But I would love to hear what it is that you think. What changes in the story do you know and have you detected? And how has that affected your knowledge, say, from the comics or even from some of the other animated series or animated movies that kind of tie into this? I'd love to hear that all in the comment section. We'll be having this conversation as we're going. Thank you all so much for watching the video. I really do appreciate you guys so much, and hopefully we'll see in another one. Peace out.